I don't know how to open this, so I watched The Glitch in the Matrix. Directed by Rodney Asher, he made Room 237, which is about Stanley Kubrick's supposed messages that he hid everywhere in the movie The Shining, even though he was way too busy abusing actors. This movie is a waste of time. This is a YouTube conspiracy theory video that could have been 20 minutes. The production values are much better than any YouTube video you'll find, which is a plus. A Glitch in the Matrix is about simulation theory. If you don't know what that is, look on Elon Musk's Twitter feed and you'll see it 15 times more than likely. It's a lot like the Matrix, where, in the real world, we're probably batteries for some alien species, or we're a game. Who knows? And that's what this entire movie basically says. Who knows? So this is split up by like 5 different interviews. 3 of them are just people who the director kind of hid with a virtual reality avatar. So it's like a robotic wolf is talking to us, which is, that's kind of interesting. It's a smart way to make Zoom interviews look less boring, I say, as I'm on Zoom, while also they can recreate what he's talking about without getting a lookalike. That's pretty smart. I'll give it to them. And it's clever and it's visually cool. All 3 of those virtual reality dudes are just, it's just what ifs. He's like, well, I felt like I did this. And so we go 5 minutes into what he felt as a 12-year-old in church. And then this other guy got in a car accident in Mexico, and like a bunch of coincidences happened. There's no one in this movie saying, well, there's no skeptics. There's no, well, it could be that, or it could be just a series of coincidences that happened over and over and over. So this whole movie is based around the science fiction author Philip K. Dick, who wrote Blade Runner, Minority Report, The Man in the High Castle, a bunch of very prominent science fiction stories. He wrote an essay in like 1977 about how he felt like he was in a virtual reality and we lived in a simulation. And it's hilarious because it cuts to the people and they're looking at him like he's absolutely insane. And the director kind of jumps off of his essays into what people think. It goes from, again, the 3 dudes who are virtual reality people talking about, well, I felt like this, so it must be true, right? And then there's a guy who wrote an essay in Oxford about it. And then the one guy who makes sense because all he talks about is how awesome Philip K. Dick is a science fiction writer, and he just talks about how ahead of his time Philip K. Dick was. This movie is 1 hour and 48 minutes long, and it feels like it's 5 hours long because it's just rambles like I'm doing right now. It's like a bunch of dudes just smoked a ton of weed and got in a corner and put a microphone in front of them. And like, well, what if all of us aren't real, and in church, like, isn't it crazy how our vocal cords move and stuff like that? Like, sure, that is interesting, but we stay on it for like 10 minutes and then move on to the next guy who's like, well, what if we're doing this instead of that? It's infuriating. I have to get into spoilers here because this is the part I actually fast forward. For a movie that I have spent money on, I have never skipped scenes. I did it for this. So it gets to the point of the movie where it's just people nerding out about The Matrix. Rightfully so, because The Matrix is awesome. And we keep hearing the voice of this guy saying, yeah, I loved the trench coats in The Matrix, so I went to Hot Topic and bought a trench coat. I'm like, okay, moving on. And then it like intertwines this guy's voice with other people talking about how influential the movie The Matrix was, especially in terms of the simulation theory. And then it cuts back to the voice of this guy, and he says, and then I Googled how to get a gun. And I'm thinking like, this guy creeps me out. Then it's revealed this man watched The Matrix over 300 times, listened to the soundtrack, went downstairs into his basement and murdered his adopted parents. Filmmaking wise, that reveal was amazing because they intertwined that guy's voice with other people talking about The Matrix and like how if you get too obsessed with something, it could be awful. The problem is the director let this guy take 15 minutes of our time while in between listening about simulation theory and how great The Matrix is, to him going downstairs and carefully murdering his parents. Like, brutally, gory. He's describing every single detail while we, the viewer, are going through a simulation of his house. We don't see anything other than just the house, but we're in his perspective as he goes down the stairs, goes into these rooms, goes back upstairs, comes back down. What on earth? Why would you do this in the middle of a movie about simulation theory and philosophy and like thinking about where are we in life? And then 15 minutes of this disgusting act. I hated it. I hated it so much. I fast forwarded it. Like, I'm sick of listening to this guy. And then it finally finally gets to the point of why we're listening to this guy for 15 minutes. And it's because he was diagnosed with schizophrenia afterwards. His lawyers decide, hey, we need to come up with the Matrix defense. They could have made that point in 30 seconds instead of spending 15 minutes in the point of view of a double murderer. And after we're done listening to this guy ramble on about a horrific act, it goes back to the Philip K. Dick guy talking about how great Philip K. Dick was. This movie's a mess. It makes no sense. This is a 2 out of 10. I was so infuriated. At least it's visually really creepy in a good way, and it has some interesting little tidbits here and there. Some people made a lot more sense than the others, and this could have been a 15-minute YouTube conspiracy theory. Instead, it's an hour and 40 minutes of just rambles. If you've seen this and you disagree, let me know, but if you haven't, stay away. Stay far away from this movie, unless it's free. Don't spend money on this.